term junk food wasn't actually coined until the 1970s.
Denver has paid for these cameras that were supposed to turn on as the moment that a weapon was taken out of an officer's holster, and now we know that there isn't even that much body camera footage to begin with.
Right now on Denver 7 News at 8 o'clock on Local 3, protesters demand action tonight after Denver police fired into a crowd.
Why didn't they take the public into consideration? We need answers.
Also tonight, there will be more dramatic testimony from the January 6th committee, a preview of the primetime finale featuring a timeline of former President Trump's actions that day.
And meet the die-hard Avs fans professing their love for the team in a very permanent way. That is very detailed. Pretty cool.
Some artistic talent there for sure. As we take a live look outside, sunny start to the day. It's going to be another toasty one across the Front Range, and without the rain that we've gotten used to cooling us off in the afternoons, Katie.
Exactly. So later on this afternoon, we'll stay in the 90s for a good portion of the early evening hours, and we're expecting even hotter temperatures for this afternoon's highs here across the metro area. This morning, though, it's beautiful outside. Plenty of sunshine here from Westminster out to the east. Further to the west, though, near Glenwood Springs, a little bit of increase in cloud cover and some light showers moving into the northwestern corner of Colorado. Otherwise dry and sunny over the eastern half of the state. Temperatures are already heating up quickly. 74 degrees in Denver, upper 70s now from Akron down through the Springs and up into the mountains. 50s from Steamboat Springs down through Aspen and Vail. Today, expect the temperatures to rise quickly. By noon, looking at 91 degrees for the Denver area. Daytime highs reaching the mid and upper 90s, nearing 100 degrees in Greeley with 70s and 80s into the mountains. It will be a drier afternoon here across the state, but we will be talking more in the way of thunderstorm activity that'll arrive for Colorado's high country through the end of the day tomorrow, and then a nice cool down by the end of the weekend. Micah will talk more about it coming up.
I'm looking forward to that. I have a new crash that just popped up on the traffic map at I-25 and 20th Street. It's right here. It's impacting southbound lanes. Let's go ahead and pull up the CDOT camera that's in the area. A little bit hard to see, but you can see some slowdown happening right here. Something to keep in mind again if it's on your morning commute. Let's go back to the map. We have another crash to tell you about. This one is on I-70 here at Colorado Boulevard with traffic backed up to Monaco, and we are certainly seeing that impact westbound lanes when it comes to this crash. Quick check of some drive times for you. Westbound I-270 from I-70 to I-25, 16 minutes. Eastbound running you exactly the same. Eastbound I-70 from 6th Avenue to I-25, 12 minutes. Eastbound 6th Avenue to I-70 to I-25, 12 minutes as well. And if you're headed to or from the airport this morning, westbound I-70 from Pena Boulevard to I-25, 22 minutes. Eastbound 18 minutes, and that's pretty typical for this time of morning.
Thanks, Micah. We do want to get you updated on some breaking news could be affecting traffic in Inglewood, where police are looking for a man who stole an SUV and almost hit an officer. This is video from Air Tracker 7, which flew over the scene a little earlier today. Police said they initially responded to a burglary on Umatilla Street. They say a man stole an Audi and crashed it through a fence. Another officer fired his gun at the suspect, but he was able to get away. The vehicle is a black 2019 Audi SUV with front end damage, no license plate, but it did have an AutoNation placard where a license plate would be. No officers were hurt, and it's not clear if the suspect was injured.
Taking a live look at our state capitol this morning, where tonight protesters will be calling for greater police accountability and change after Denver officers injured 6 bystanders while shooting at a suspect as bars were closing in Lodo over the weekend. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta joins us live from the Capitol this morning. Veronica, you spoke to organizers. What do they hope to accomplish at their rally?
They say they want their voices heard, they want some accountability like you mentioned, but there's also one more thing they want. They want this Civilian Police Accountability Council so that when there's shootings like the one that happened this weekend, there's a group of people, community members, already there making sure they're looking into what exactly happened. And here's what else activists say they want. They want that body camera video released, or typically worn by officers, released. They want that unedited. They're also calling for the firing of those officers involved. Now, DPD did release still shots of video from that shooting, something activists say is unacceptable. They say they want to hold police accountable and stop something like this from happening again.
whether police do nothing, like in the case of Uvalde, or whether police overreact and do something like in the case of Denver, the consistent trend is that innocent people are left either seriously injured or dead. Denver is held up as one of the few states that passed legislation after 2020 and tried to increase accountability, but clearly there's still a lot of work to be done.
As for that rally, it is scheduled for 6 tonight. It's going to be happening right outside the Capitol on the West Steps. And you guys, it is Thursday for many people. The weekend starts tonight, and of course it goes into tomorrow night. Typically, Lodo, where that shooting happened, it is a busy spot. So we called a couple bars, asked them what their plan was going into the weekend. Blake Street Tavern, its owner told us they've had security for a while. They don't plan on having any more than usual. It's the same thing a lot of other bars told me as well. In Denver, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
It will be top of mind, though, we know. Thank you, Veronica. Police revealed some new details at a news conference yesterday. We want to make sure you didn't miss those main points. DPD released only still photos from the officers' body cameras, not the video, saying that's to protect their investigation. But one image shows Jordan Waddy appearing to pull something from his jacket. Police released this photo of a gun recovered at the scene, although there's no evidence Waddy ever fired a round. Other photos show he was holding the top of the gun, not the grip, where he could have easily pulled the trigger. 3 officers fired a total of 7 shots at Waddy. 2 of them turned their body cameras on after the shooting. The 3rd officer had their camera running the whole time.
Police also revealed a 6th injured bystander came forward on Tuesday. A department supervisor said he's not sure investigators will ever be able to determine if they were shot or hit with ricochets or other debris. We did talk to a couple of victims, though, who we know were shot. One of them is having surgery this week to try and have the bullet removed. They are both traumatized after what happened. And on top of it all, they didn't find out it was police who shot them until they saw it on the news.
A second from turning, that could have been my lungs, that could have been my head, that could have been my spine. And so I'm definitely grateful to even just go out with a broken humerus bone. But I'm just grateful to be alive today.
How disappointed I am with the people who are supposed to be keeping us safe.
Both of those victims have the same lawyers, and they told us they're watching the investigation closely and believe the officers could have acted differently. We, of course, will be at tonight's rally at the Capitol, and we'll follow the investigation every step of the way. You can stay up to date on the air on our website, thedenverchannel.com, and the Denver 7 Plus app on your streaming devices.
This is hard to hear because we put a lot of trust in our kids' coaches, and now we know a former Cherry Creek High School softball coach is accused of a disgusting crime with a young girl. Investigators say Paul Pablo Severson tried to solicit nude photos and videos from a young girl in Virginia. That girl later died by suicide. Investigators in Virginia say the girl had been messaging Severson on several social media apps. He allegedly passed himself off as a man in his early 20s, and we have a list of those accounts on your screen here. Investigators are concerned there may be more of his victims. The Cherry Creek School District fired Severson yesterday as soon as it learned of his arrest. The district says he passed a background check when he was hired back in 2020 and worked with kids at 3 different schools: Cherry Creek High School, West Middle School, and Cherry Creek Elevation School.
Capitol Hill is back in prime time tonight as we take a live look in Washington. The House January 6th committee is holding its 8th hearing. Could be the final one. It's expected to be a dramatic 3-hour case detailing minute by minute what Donald Trump did on the day of the insurrection.
The focal point of tonight's primetime January 6th House Select Committee hearing, the 187 minutes that the panel says then-President Trump refused to call off a violent attack by his supporters at the U.S. Capitol.
So the American public need to know exactly what was happening.
The following day, Trump released a 3-minute pre-recorded message condemning the attack.
A new administration will be inaugurated on January 20th.
But behind the scenes, a different story. ABC News has learned the committee is planning to show some of the outtakes they obtained from that pre-recorded message, showing a president struggling to say the election was over and to condemn the rioters.
We have just been through an intense election and emotions are high, but now tempers must be cooled and calm restored.
Sources say the president only taped the message under immense pressure from aides, advising him to do so to end any discussions about the 25th Amendment, which is used to replace a president. Tonight's hearing also comes as the Secret Service says it was only able to recover a single text exchange from January 5th and 6th after the committee subpoenaed the agency. Any other messages, the Secret Service says, were deleted during a device upgrade on January 27th.
6 committee chairmen sent a letter on the 16th of January saying preserve everything.
Officials now say this could be a violation of the Federal Records Act. The committee is also expecting to hear from Trump's former White House counsel and call 2 former aides to testify, Deputy White House Press Secretary Sarah Matthews and Deputy National Security Advisor Matt Pottinger. Both resigned after January 6th.
The former president has called the committee's investigation rigged and one-sided. The panel says it plans to have an interim report out by September. You can watch the hearing in full tonight on Denver 7 at 6 p.m. We do want to remind you the committee's video may be graphic and include profanity. You can also watch our 6 o'clock newscast on the Denver 7 Plus app for your streaming device.
Coming up, 7 states are having to work together to conserve water from the Colorado River, the idea that could affect our ranchers and farmers.
And how you can help a couple of Front Range girls after thieves tried to put a sour note on their Sweet 16 plans.